Howdy y'all, Michael here. Today is Saturday, January 31st, 2026, and my hair is atrocious. It is absolutely horrible. So I'm gonna get a haircut. Come hang out with me. Here we are on the Sports Clips here near Plano Parkway, on the other side of Prestonwood from Plano Parkway. Let's go get it done. Haircut achieved. Now to get some of the, I'm a pretty big fan of the Nova Locks. They close at 2 today. So ordered my bagel, went with the small coffee this time because the large coffee can get cold if I take it out. But you can refill them here. Small cup makes most sense. That way keep it warm. Enjoying my piping hot caffeinated beverage. Here's straight out of the Blue and the memories he created for everyone. Man, I'm gonna miss him. I've been using Ashley for a while now. She's only there on Saturdays from opening to noon. And I thought, I know she's there then. She may be in other times, but I always check on the app to see if she's there. She is. She always does a great job. She's one of the few that I'll say, yeah, it's kind of what I want, but you figure out the rest. I totally trust her. She does a great job. Double lock bagel. These used to be like $6 or $7. Well, there. Got smoked salmon, tomatoes, capers. Red onions, cream cheese. I don't get it toasted. I get it untoasted. It's excellent. The only problem is they're about $11 now. Then they were about 6 or 7. It's still delicious. Although it seems like they put a lot more of everything on there these days. That is pretty solid. A few hours later. Here's another thing that I just started doing. Peanuts and Coke. That's kind of a southern thing. But JWW on the Move showed this on a video. I've heard about it long before that. But a lot of people are starting to pick it up. Not only are they doing Coca-Cola, but they're starting to do it with Dr. Pepper as well. Too bad that all the car washes are closed today. It's in the 20s right now. I can feel it in my fingers. All this stuff, this brine mixture, ice melt, whatever it is everywhere. And piles of snow. And that's not white snow anymore. That's more chunks of ice there. God, looks like what my street looked like a little earlier this past week. I had to use the 4-wheel drive on it just to get around it. It's more like chunks and little boulders of snow. 4-wheel drive worked great. Put it on snow mode. I gotta figure out what I did with my gloves. My hands are freezing cold. I walked into Frisco Discovery Center. Looks like they're having a little Maker's Fair, craft fair. something like that. Is the Winter Art Show. Today's the last day. It's probably the paintings up here. Part of this other special event they're having. What I'm here for is the National Video Game Museum. I was here a few years ago, but it's been a while. Things slowly change at these museums, so I figured it's time to go check it out again. Got all these game systems spray painted in gold. A lot of the screenshots here. All the systems, mainly commercials. There is quite the line to get in here. Very busy day. Got my wristband on from the National Video Game Museum. And seems like an old place I used to love. Actually been out here several times, but this is the first time in a while that I've come out with a camera. And actually the last time I was here, I was with the camera. You can look that video up. So here's some of the first video games ever. And many variations of Pong. There's Dr. Pong. This one was going to be a Snoopy Pong, but they couldn't get the licensing from Peanuts. So it became Puppy Pong. And first arcade version of it there. It's a small screen for an arcade. I didn't have any video games in the house when I was growing up. I don't think Dad really thought it was a good productive use of my time. I did have a neighbor with a video game system and we played a lot. This piece right here, I've seen it on TV before on a history show, but this is the brown box prototype for a gaming system. And it basically was Pong or tennis or whatever you want to call it. It was Ralph Baer's prototype. He was a television station engineer and he came up with this. So you're looking at the very cusp of the start of the video game industry right here. If you're like me, you probably need a bigger screen to play these games. But this is a giant Pong set with huge wheels. Here's another famous antique of a game called Computer Space. And I believe they had these in several movies. But they were one of the first arcade systems out there. 25 cents a play. 25 cents was worth a lot more then than it is now. But very futuristic. I love the cabinet on it. I'm trying to think of the movie that had this game in there. I flat cannot remember. Was it the original Westworld? I don't know. I've seen this before, but it's pretty cool. Got Mario, Sonic the Hedgehog, Pac-Man. Probably one of the first video games in the arcade I played. You got Metroid, Donkey Kong. It's got his barrel. Pikachu. Did I miss anybody? I think that's it. This area over here is stage 1. It's got all the vintage game systems. Then we come to stage 2 and you start getting all your home systems here. And I may have had a couple of these, starting with the Odyssey. Of course, everybody's seen the Atari 2600. And if you convert the dollar value for how much you had to pay for that, it's probably around $400-500 today. It was only 100 something. But then you had a lot of these brands I haven't seen before or remember, like the Bally Astrocade. Here's the Pong game for Atari. It's 1974 compared to 1977 for the Atari 2600. Which I believe was one of the most robust game systems out there at the time. Channel F, never heard it. Coleco, I've heard of that, but never seen anybody with that game system. But lots of game systems here. Some I do remember, some I don't. 1985 is when the original NES came out, the Nintendo Entertainment System. My friend Kelbert had one of those. The original Game Boy, which I've never had, Sega Master System. I don't think I played that one. I played the Genesis, which is up there. My friend JJ had that. The Super Nintendo, right there. Friend who had the original Nintendo also had that as well. It's the original PlayStation, which I had one of those. It was kind of a broken down one. It was a hand-me-down. But my first game system was the Nintendo 64. And I love that system even today. It's a great game system. We do have Game Boy Advances. We had those. And I think there was a 3D version we had as well. But these were a big Christmas special. They were selling pretty cheap. And this had a 3D version of it, but did not have the GameCube. But you could play GameCube games on the Wii, and I did have the Wii, or I still do. It's still plugged in. I just haven't fired it up in a while. Of course, the Xbox 360. I think it's the Xbox One. My latest system, besides my computer, I have the gaming computer now, is the original Nintendo Switch. A lot of these classic game systems, the older ones, had proprietary software that was made by the manufacturer of the game systems. But eventually, other companies brought out to make games for them as well. It's stage 3, third party. You can see some of these game systems here, how they would program them. These were development systems. I mean, obviously they have the chipsets and everything on there where you can program it up. There's a cartridge for the N64 that you can program. Here's the Sega system, the 16-bit Genesis, but this was for programming and inventing the games there. So how cool is that? Examples of some of the third-party games here. Looks like that was a big disc or something there. Infiltrator, I had that game. I played put a lot of hours on that game on the Tandy 1000 PC. There's a Dreamcast developer. Let's see what other games I have here. I don't recognize any of these games as being games I own. Here's some of the Atari games up here. If you ever watched the original Pitfall commercial, there's a young child there named Jack Black. Yes, same Jack Black as we know as an adult today. The Zork series, I had these as well. They were a lot of fun. Infocom, I think I had Beyond Zork. I had 1, 2, and 3. It was all text. There was no graphics. But you would have these books, these maps that told you where everything was as you moved from room to room. Some of these games, once you lost a character, they were gone forever. So you always made a copy of the game onto another disc, so if you ever want to do the full restore, you have your original disc to copy from. But very cool. Very interactive for the time. All through here there are game systems you can actually play. Pitfall.
That was the most badass
What game system is that? Okay, that's the original NES that he's playing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think this is the Xbox. Playing Halo. Stage 4, here's the controllers. And I've had a few of these. It's the original gun right here from the Nintendo. Does not work on flat screen TVs. You have to have an old CRT tube for it to work. The old style TVs. And there is the Nintendo 64 controller. That's for the original PlayStation, but these are great. Has little rumble packs you can add to it. Or shake. A lot of these I do not recognize. You ever seen them? Oh, there's the original NES right there. This was a Sony product. You could draw lines in the air. That little ball right there would change to different colors. There's like a Genesis right there. Atari 2600. They got one of those controls. And these were not variable pitch. They barely moved left, right, up, and down. You had one button there. Looks like some of the early Xbox controllers here. Oh, there's a GameCube. And that was the Sega Dreamcast. I was trying to remember that earlier. That was a pretty cool system. It was just too expensive. Here's the section on handheld games, and I actually had one of the football games. It's either football or we had, I think it was baseball. The portable Pac-Man machine. That's still a fun game. They get hands-on and everything here. You know what, that looks more like what I had right there. Got a cabinet full of Game Boys. And they had a Game Boy printer. I don't remember the Game Boy printer, but it had a camera too. And all the Game Boy Advances here. And some of the cartridges for the older ones there. I don't see the 3D one. But it kind of looked like that orange one there. Actually, it kind of looked like those down there. There's the GCE Vectron, and no, it's not for sale. It's not flickering as much. It is actually flickering a little bit to the eye, but not as much as it is on the camera. That's just a shutter speed deal. But there's the Atari 5200, the one we saw painted out in the lobby. And this is just a store setup, but they're not selling anything here. Here's the Commodore 64 from 1982, and I really wanted one of these, but they were very expensive in that time. They came with their own monitors here, and a disk drive. Most times you see two disk drives, one stacked on top of another. But I had a friend who had one of these, and my first computer class ever was with the Commodore 64. And we were told that computers are never wrong and they do not get viruses. Times have changed. Growing up, my next door neighbor had the IBM PC Junior, and I was pretty jealous. I really still don't understand what the difference between the Junior and the regular IBM PC was. But these were the first generation of home computers. This was the IBM PC. This is the XT. I don't know if that means extra or what. But I think this one has a hard drive. And then two floppies. The dot matrix printer. I can still hear this thing printing in my memories. This is a more compact version of it, but this is the TRS-80 by Radio Shack. We call them Trash 80s, but the original ones that I saw, the monitor and keyboard were all one unit with the disk drives up on the side here. But this is more of a more compact version of the computer. When I was in elementary school, we did have Trash 80s there, the all one units, but my school got a TI-99-4A. It's got cartridges, it can take a tape deck, you can load it that way. But I got to take it home and play with it and just try to learn it, program some basic, probably in the 4th or 5th grade. It was really cool. I learned a lot from it. But every weekend I would take it home and then take it back up to school. TI-99-4A, I think it was 4 kilobytes of memory. Maybe way off on that. But that was a long time ago. It's from 1979. It was Dragon's Lair. It was incredible graphics. It was basically cartoon graphics. But every time you make a move, the screen goes black, and then you figure out if you killed yourself or not. Lots of quarters spent on this. It's more fun to watch somebody else play than play it yourself.
Dragon's Lair, a fantasy adventure where you become a valiant knight on a quest to rescue the fair princess from the clutches of an evil dragon.
Got a section on creating, and you can create your own characters here. Some of the game systems off the bat. I think there's a Mario game that lets you create your own game. But not only that, Minecraft. There's a good base of creativity with Minecraft. You can build your own places, shape your own caves, house, store, whatever. As hardware improved, the games improved as well. Yeah, faster and faster systems coming in. This is a section called TurboGrafx, but it's still pretty antiquated by today's standard. The TurboGrafx 16 is a PC engine over the years here, and Pokemon was a very big part of it, starting from 1996 all the way to 2022 on the timeline here. Probably some more since then. They got a bunch of Pokemon paraphernalia here. The games, pretty extensive collection here. This is the virtual reality section. It was here the last time I was here, but before they had this section in here, it was somebody's office, some game executive's office. But this looks neat to me. It doesn't look like I set up though, but it looks like it's well loved. Yeah, they had something here, it's not here anymore. Of course, this is a prototype of what became the Power Glove, which was kind of a gimmicky thing and didn't last very long, but it is definitely in the video game lore. The Oculus development kit, which this is what they used to develop the games for the Oculus system. I've actually worn this thing, the Mind Link, and it was a downhill snow skiing thing. Little solemn. You think right and your character went right, you started thinking towards the left, your character turned to the left. It actually worked. It was kind of creepy but kind of cool at the same time. And there's an extremely bulky version of the headset systems now. They are much smaller, a lot less bulky. And then you have the Virtual Boy, and this thing will give people headaches fairly easy. Can't get it to focus in, but everything was in red and black. Didn't last very long. Very neat concept, it just never took off. Kind of put that on the table, kind of press your eyes up against it. What better they would have strapped it on your head. Pretty cool montage of the different game systems. This is Donkey Kong on ColecoVision, the Atari 2600. I put it on there. Look at that guy. Real detail there. Of course, the Game Boy, the color Game Boy, that is. Then you had Intellivision. You had the original arcade game, Commodore VIC-20. The Apple II. Apple IIs were really popular. Nintendo Entertainment System. And the Commodore 64. More historical items here. These were the test cartridges and discs for the different games. And some of these were samples or something for the press to look at and play around with. And see if they would like it and kind of promote the games out there. And there were game testers too. They would take these home and play and play and play, or maybe in their office. Just keep playing the games until they break them, and then once they break them, they can figure out how to fix it before it goes to market. Of course, imitation is the highest form of flattery. And here's a Dreamcast, but it's not. This was a hacked version with the firmware from Dreamcast, not by permission, but they called this the Dreamcast system. It was done in China. Even had its own little screen there if you want to use a little screen, make it portable. But these were knockoffs, these were not licensed, they were hacked firmware. Here's a Philips G7200 and a GameCube in the colors of the Hanshin Tigers. So I'm guessing that's from Japan. Neo Geo. Man, look at the size of that cartridge. I think it's huge. Big as my head. And more game systems I've never seen before. They also want to do some testings of these systems with heat and cold. And so they wanted to check, see if it's okay to put these in the car and leave it in the summer sun, make sure nothing's going to happen. So they set an oven at 150 degrees Fahrenheit. At least they thought it was Fahrenheit. And unfortunately, that was 150 degrees Celsius, which is 1.5 times the temperature to boil water. So these melted, and the test got wrong. I hope they got some good data from it. In Japan, they did have the N64, but this one's different. It did not make it to the States, but this one had a disk drive on it as well. So you had the normal cartridges plus a disk. And they had these little expansion kits, or packs rather. Never made it to the States, but man, that would have been cool. This is interesting. It's a Halcyon, and it was made by the guy who made Dragon's Quest. And only 2 games were made for this before it bankrupted. It used Laserdisc, which is pretty amazing technology back in 1985. But too bad it only had 2 games. But that was about the size of a record, full-size vinyl record. Too bad. So you had NFL football and Thayer's Quest. Somebody tell me what that says, because I can't read that font. One of the competitors for the Atari 2600 made their own called Heat Games BCS. But those are definitely 1970s colors there. They were a competitor. And copying a game system was not unheard of back then. Software either. Because there was no such thing as copyrighting software in game systems back then. There's a giveaway from our world. I remember this. There was a robot you can hook up to your Nintendo. It's kind of gimmicky, but it's kind of fun for the time. They even have boxes of cereal from the grocery store here. All the different Nintendo games promotion here. So all your video games are also in a board game version. So Legend of Zelda, your Pac-Man. Not familiar with that one. And Doom. They hit it pretty good. Right on the spot there. 1980s living room. We didn't have wood paneling, but a lot of houses did. The old TV. The top-load VCR. And the ColecoVision game systems here. In the 1980s, we had a lot of velvet paintings. And the dogs playing poker. Look at this beast. Major beast. These things were over $1,000 some odd dollars in 1980. Maybe almost $2,000. They finally came down in price later on, but they were prohibitively expensive when they first came out. Right across from there was a 1980s bedroom. A little single bed, metal frame. It's playing Duck Hunt there. All the posters and everything from Weird Science. Max Headroom, The Watchmen. It was a portable TV you can carry around with you. Won't work today. Not with the signals we use now. A little Mario phone. Another student for Reagan Bush 84. A lot more game systems to play. And a Rubik's Cube. Piece of art here. The Bob Smith, one of the pioneers of the video game industry. Consists of 640 Rubik's Cubes. That's a lot of Rubik's Cubes. The sign here says Castlevania. I've never played that game, so this must be one of the big characters in the game. Of course, everybody knows Halo. The clear Miss Pac-Man, but it doesn't look like it's running. But at least you can see what was inside the cabinets here. Yeah, some beefy Transformers down there. These are all the different kiosks to sell the game systems that you would find in the store. Computer Demonstration Center for the Atari home computer. And the Game Boy. Here's the actual top scores for this arcade here. And when you come in with a standard admission, you get 4 free tokens. So I think you get like 8 or so. If you have the annual pass, every time you come in, they'll give you some more. So you can buy more tokens if you want to play the arcade games. All the arcade games you want to play. Now time to spend my tokens here. And we exit through the gift shop. When this place first opened, I had an annual pass to it, and I used it quite often. I had the family pass, so 4 of us can come at any time for free, and we get tokens every time we came. It was like $100 for 4 of us. But if you want a single person pass, it's $35. But it's a pretty cool place. There's too much to see here, and every time I've come here, I see something different I've never seen before. It's just way overload, and worth a visit or 2 or 3. So check them out. It's a lot of fun. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun doing it. But for now, y'all take care, be safe, bye. And Galaxian. I think they're the same exact game. Let me know if I'm wrong. Dig Dug. And Hubert. Man, the memories.